At 9:17 p.m., the lights in Blackridge Hollow flickered once long enough for the town to notice and then went out. The darkness that followed did not feel accidental. It felt arranged. Wine dragged its knuckles along the houses. Somewhere in the distance, a car alarm yelped and died. Porch lights vanished one by one until the hollow truly lived up to its name. In the Kessler house on Juniper Lane, 12-year-old Mira lay frozen beneath her quilt, eyes open to a ceiling she could no longer see. That was when she heard it. Breathing slow even. Deliberate. From beneath her bed. Mira did not scream. Her father, Detective Rowan Kessler, had taught her something about fear. It was loud, but evidence was quiet. Listen first, he always said. Fear wants you to run. Truth wants you to stay. So she stayed. The breath came again. Not the dry whistle of air through vents. Not the click of settling wood. This was wet, alive. And it paused when she shifted, as if it were listening back. Her pulse drummed in her ears. She slid one hand slowly toward the baseball bat leaning against her nightstand. Her fingers brushed the handle. The mattress dipped, not much, but enough. Something beneath her bed had just adjusted its weight. Earlier that night, Rowan had been standing over a body. Councilman Everett Hale lay sprawled across his study rug, silk tie twisted grotesquely around his throat. The room was undisturbed. No broken glass. No overturned furniture. The security system showed no breach. The doors were locked from the inside. It was the kind of scene Rowan hated most. Clean. Intentional, cruel. Looks personal, Officer Dunn had murmured. Rowan had crouched near the body, studying the faint bruising on Hale's jaw. No, he said quietly. It looks practiced. On the desk, a single object sat out of place. A photograph. Hale at a campaign rally, smiling. Hand raised in victory. In the corner of the frame, barely visible behind the cheering crowd, stood a thin man with pale eyes and an expression that didn't match the celebration. Rowan had recognized him immediately. Thomas Vale, Hale's former campaign manager. Dismissed 6 months earlier under a quiet cloud of financial misconduct. Disappeared shortly after. Back in Mira's room, the breathing shifted again. Closer now. She could feel it warmth seeping upward through the mattress slats. Her throat tightened. Dad, she whispered. The breathing stopped. Then, Mira, her father's voice. From under the bed. Her skin went cold. It was perfect, the tone. The rhythm. But her father was still at the crime scene. She knew that. And her father never whispered her name like that. He always said it steady, solid, certain. This voice curled around the syllables. She tightened her grip on the bat. Observe. Don't assume. The mattress dipped harder this time. She swung. The crack of wood against wood exploded through the darkness. Something hissed a sharp intake of breath and the bed frame shuddered violently. Then silence. Heavy. Pressurized. Mira scrambled off the bed and dropped to the floor, heart pounding so hard she thought she might pass out. She angled her flashlight kept hidden in her drawer for emergencies beneath the bed. Dust. Shoes. Her old puzzle box. And at the far wall, a rectangle of deeper black. The air vent. Its screws loosened. The metal cover tilted slightly outward. And just inside, a pale eye blinked. She screamed then. The eye vanished instantly, followed by the violent clang of metal shifting inside the ductwork. Something was crawling away. Fast. Mira grabbed the bat again and swung at the vent. The cover tore free, clattering to the floor. Cold air rushed from the shaft. From deep within the darkness, Something scraped metal. Retreating. Rowan arrived home 20 minutes later to find his front door wide open and 3 neighbors huddled in his living room with Mira wrapped in a blanket. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She simply pointed down the hallway. "He was under my bed," she said. Rowan's stomach tightened into something sharp and dangerous. He moved through the house like a soldier clearing rooms. Windows intact. Locks unbroken. Until he reached Mira's room. The vent cover lay bent on the carpet. He crouched, shining his flashlight into the duct. And saw it. A smear of fresh blood along the metal seam. 5 narrow finger impressions in the dust near the wall. And fibers. Dark rope fibers. Identical to the ligature that had strangled Councilman Hale less than an hour earlier. Rowan's blood ran cold. The killer had left the crime scene. Triggered a blackout. And come here. The town as maintenance records revealed something few residents knew. A forgotten network of service tunnels and interconnected ventilation shafts built during Blackridge Hollow's original development decades ago. Designed for convenience. Abandoned for cost. Never sealed. A map of those tunnels was found 2 days later in Thomas Vale's empty apartment. Every accessible house circled in red, including the Kessler residence. But Vale was still missing. And that meant he was still inside the web. For 3 nights, Rowan didn't sleep. He stationed officers at major exits. Inspected crawl spaces. Ordered thermal scans. Nothing. Until the 4th night. At 2:13 a.m., the power flickered again. Just once. Rowan was awake before the lights died. He heard it before he saw it. A faint metallic ripple inside the walls. Moving. Slow. Deliberate. Toward Mira's room. Rowan grabbed his service weapon and moved down the hallway barefoot, silent. The sound stopped. Then, a whisper from inside the vent. "Mira." Rowan's jaw tightened. He stepped into her doorway. "Mira, don't answer," he said calmly. But she already understood. The vent cover trembled, then burst outward as a thin arm shot through the opening. Pale. Veined. Fingers to long. Vale's face followed, twisted in something between triumph and hunger. Rowan fired. The bullet tore through the vent edge, grazing Vale's shoulder. He shrieked a sound. High and animalistic hand tried to retreat. But this time, Rowan was ready. He lunged, grabbing Vale's wrist before he could disappear into the shaft. The 2 men struggled, metal slicing skin, dust choking the air. Vale smiled through the pain. "I was under your bed," he whispered. Rowan slammed him against the floor. "And now," Rowan said, voice steady and lethal, "you're beneath me." Police swarmed the house within minutes. Vale was dragged out in cuffs, bleeding and laughing until he saw Mira standing in the hallway, bat still in her hands. Her eyes didn't hold fear. They held recognition. "You breathed too loud," she said simply. Vale stopped laughing. The tunnels were sealed. Concrete poured. Metal welded shut. Blackridge Hollow installed a new power grid and triple-checked its infrastructure. But the town never fully recovered from the knowledge that someone had been moving inside their walls. Listening. Waiting. As for Mira, she kept the bat beside her bed. Not because she expected monsters anymore, but because she knew something most adults didn't. Monsters don't hide under beds. They study them. They learn the shape of your fear. And sometimes, if you're brave enough, you hear them breathing first, in the dark, right beneath you.